Module 2.4 Video 3, Why Phishing-Resistant MFA Matters. This is part of the Identity and Access track in the Uproot Security Awareness series. Here's the uncomfortable truth we're going to unpack. Most multi-factor authentication can be phished in real time. Not cracked, not brute-forced, phished while you watch, with the attacker simply standing between you and the real site. Over the next few minutes, we'll cover 4 things. First, how the attack actually works. Second, why the MFA methods most companies rely on, text codes, authenticator apps, and push prompts, all fail for the same root reason. Third, what FIDO2 does differently that stops the attack cold at the protocol level. And fourth, a real-world receipt from August 2022 that proves the point. Let's start with the attack. The technique is called adversary in the middle phishing. Tools like EvilJinx2 and Medlishka run a reverse proxy that sits directly between the victim and the real login page. Here's what makes it so dangerous. The page the victim sees looks byte-for-byte identical to the real one because it is the real page, relayed live through the attacker's proxy. Walk through the flow. The victim clicks a link and lands on what looks like a perfect copy of the login page. Behind the scenes, the attacker's reverse proxy relays the traffic in both directions, passing the victim's password and MFA code straight to the real service and capturing the response on the way back. The real service sees a completely valid login with a valid second factor and hands back a session cookie, which the attacker steals. Notice what the attacker did not have to do. They didn't break your password. They didn't break your MFA, they just stood in the middle while you handed both over, willingly, to a page you believed was real. That's the whole attack. So why do the common second factors all fall to this? Text codes, authenticator apps, and push approvals fail for the same root reason. In every case, the user is the transport for the second factor, and none of them verify the origin, the actual domain of the site making the request. Let's take them one at a time. First, SMS one-time codes. A code arrives by text, and the victim types it into whatever page asked for it. The proxy receives that code and replays it instantly. And on top of the phishing risk, SMS is also vulnerable to SIM swap attacks. Second, TOTP authenticator apps. That's the 6-digit rotating code from an app like Google Authenticator. It's cryptographically valid for about 30 seconds, which sounds short, but it's more than long enough for the proxy to relay it to the real site. Third, push or approve prompts. The phone buzzes, the prompt says approve sign-in, and the victim, who is mid-login and expecting it, taps approve. By the time they tap, the proxy is already holding the session. Here's the key insight. In all 3 cases, the codes are cryptographically valid. The failure is not the user being careless, and it's not a weak secret. It's architectural. Nothing in the protocol checks where the request actually came from. Now the fix. FIDO2 authenticators are origin-bound, and that single property is what stops the attack. Here's how it works. When you authenticate, the browser includes the requesting domain inside the cryptographic challenge that gets sent to the key. The FIDO2 key was enrolled to a specific domain, say, login.real.com. If the domain in the challenge doesn't match the domain the key was enrolled to, the key simply refuses to sign. Walk it through against the proxy. The browser binds the real domain the user is actually on into the request, but the user is on the attacker's phishing domain, not the real one. That's a mismatch, so the challenge can't be satisfied and the key declines to produce a signature. There is nothing to phish and nothing to relay. 3 things make this fundamentally different. 1, there's no shared secret, no code to type, no prompt to approve, and the private key never leaves the authenticator. 2, it's origin-bound. The proxy's domain will never equal the enrollment domain, so the attack fails by design, not by luck. And 3, it's protocol level. The attack fails at the protocol, not on user vigilance. With FIDO2, phishing resistance is the default, not the exception you have to train people into. If that sounds theoretical, here's the receipt. August 2022. The same threat actor ran the same text message and credential phishing campaign against employees at both Twilio and Cloudflare on the same day. Same lure, same humans clicking the same kind of link. The outcomes could not have been more different, and they diverged on a single variable. Twilio was compromised. Their second factor was TOTP codes. Employees entered valid codes into the phishing page, the attackers relayed them, and they gained access to internal systems and customer data. Cloudflare was protected. Their second factor was FIDO2 security keys, UBI keys. Cloudflare employees fell for the exact same phishing. Some of them did enter their credentials. But when the moment came to authenticate, their UBI keys refused to sign for the attacker's domain. Every single employee was protected. Sit with that. The only variable was the MFA factor. Same attack, same human behavior, and hardware-bound, origin-bound keys turned what was a serious breach at one company into a complete non-event at the other. So what should you actually do with this? The good news is you don't have to roll out FIDO2 everywhere on day one. The smart approach is to tier it by exposure and to retire the weakest factor entirely. Here's a practical policy. For privileged accounts, admins, IT, security, and infrastructure, FIDO2 should be mandatory. These are the keys to the kingdom. For sensitive data access, customer data, source code, finance, and production systems, again, FIDO2 mandatory. That's where a compromise hurts the most. For the general workforce, standard employee accounts, TOTP or push, with number matching enabled, is a reasonable baseline while you expand FIDO2 coverage. And for SMS one-time codes across the entire organization, eliminate them. Phase them out completely. One important nuance: number matching on push does help because it blunts MFA fatigue attacks, where an attacker just spams approval prompts hoping you tap yes. But number matching is not phishing resistant. Only FIDO2 truly resists real-time phishing. So prioritize it where a compromise hurts most and treat everything else as a stepping stone. Let's bring it home, the one thing to remember. Phishable MFA defends a secret. FIDO2 defends the origin. When your second factor checks where the request actually comes from, real-time phishing simply has nothing to steal. Quick recap of the 3 beats. The problem: adversary and the middle proxies relay text codes, authenticator codes, and push approvals in real time. The codes are valid, and the flaw is architectural. The fix: FIDO2 keys are origin-bound, so a domain mismatch means the key won't sign, and the attack fails at the protocol. And the proof: August 2022, Twilio on TOTP was breached, Cloudflare on UBI keys was untouched, same attack, one variable. If you take one action from this video, make it this: get phishing-resistant keys onto your most privileged accounts first. That's where the leverage is. Thanks for watching.